In the near future, the Tyrell Corporation develops bioengineered humans known as replicants for slave labor. However, the company collapses when its Nexus -6 through 8 models revolt, demanding equal rights. As the ecosystems deteriorate and famine spreads worldwide, industrialist Wallace introduces synthetic farming, saving humanity. He acquires the remnants of Tyrell and establishes his own corporation, which unveils the Nexus -9 model designed for enhanced obedience. Blade Runners, special agents, are tasked with hunting down and retiring older replicant models. It is now the year 2049, and Agent K, a Nexus replicant, embarks on a mission outside Los Angeles to apprehend a rogue replicant named Sapper. During their confrontation on Sapper's farm, he insults Nexus models and hints at a miraculous revelation K hasn't witnessed. Unconcerned, K eliminates Sapper. Before leaving, K notices meticulously placed flowers near a tree and deploys a drone to scan the area. He discovers a buried chest and requests a forensic team's assistance in uncovering its contents. Back at the office, K undergoes the regular baseline test for replicants to assess his mental state and obedience. He then returns home, where he lives with Joy, a holographic companion, and contemplates purchasing an emanator to grant her freedom of movement. They share a tender moment on the rooftop before being interrupted by news of the retrieved chest. KK hastens to the station, where he learns it contains a skeleton and hair from a woman who died during an emergency C-section about 3 decades earlier. Shockingly, the presence of a serial number on one of the bones indicates that the woman was a replicant. Replicants are not expected to possess reproductive abilities, leading Lieutenant Joshi to view such knowledge as potentially destabilizing society. Consequently, she instructs K to destroy the farm and eliminate the baby replicant. KK is hesitant because if the baby was born, then they're human, not a replicant. However, Joshi dismisses this idea. On his way out, K suddenly realizes that the baby he encountered earlier was the miracle that Sapper saw. Moments later, he arrives at the Wallace Company to inquire about the replicant, providing them with a serial number and some of her hair for identification. An employee explains that this model is from before 2022, when an event called the Blackout wiped out most of the company's digital files. They will have to check if there are any remaining hard copy data. Eventually, they find a file stating that the replicant was standard issue and unremarkable. Just then, a replicant named Love appears and grants K access to an old audio recording belonging to a missing experimental replicant named Rachel. Interestingly, this recording was created by a Blade Runner called Rick, who seemed to be very close to Rachel. Next, K visits a retirement home to interview an old man who used to work with Rick. Unfortunately, all he knows is that Rick retired and went away to be alone, with no knowledge of his whereabouts. Meanwhile, Love brings the latest model to Wallace for testing. Wallace utilizes a special device to examine all the replicant's vital functions, but ultimately ends up killing her since she cannot reproduce, which he is determined to program, but has failed thus far. He knows that there is a child out there, born to a replicant created by the old Tyrell Company, and he orders Luv to find this child so that they can create a future where replicants are born rather than made. Later that evening, a mysterious figure pays a working girl named Mariette to approach K while he dines and extract information about Sapper. Unfortunately, Mariette's attempts to flirt and engage in conversation are rejected by an unamused K. The following day, K returns to the farm to search for more clues. He notices that the piano has 2 broken keys, and upon further investigation, discovers a tin containing a baby's sock and a picture of a woman with a baby standing by the tree. K revisits the tree and finds the inscription 6.1021 at its base. These events unfold as follows. These incidents evoke a vivid image in him, a blazing house and a child clutching a toy horse, which greatly disturbs him. Later, K intentionally ignites the farmhouse before departing. Meanwhile, Love infiltrates the morgue, stealing all the evidence from the farm, including the bones, and fatally harming the lab technician in the process. In the evening, Joshi pays K a visit to inform him about the occurrences at the station. Joshi becomes curious about K's memories, prompting K to reveal that his memories were artificially implanted and, therefore, not real. He recounts a memory from his childhood in an orphanage, where he faced constant persecution from other children who desired to snatch away his wooden horse. In order to protect it, young K concealed the toy in a furnace, resulting in the other children assaulting him. The following day, K embarks on a quest to locate children born on the date he encountered at the farmhouse. Joy accompanies him and playfully references the wooden horse story, highlighting the toy's matching date. However, K dismisses it as mere coincidence. As searching by birth dates proves fruitless, K shifts his focus to DNA profiling and discovers two children sharing identical DNA, which defies logical explanation. The records indicate that these children were sent to Moral Coal Orphanage. The girl perished due to a genetic disorder while the boy vanished without a trace. Subsequently, Kay and Joy journey to San Diego in search of the orphanage. Along the way, scavengers shoot down Kay's flying car, resulting in a crash. Upon regaining consciousness, Kay finds Joy attempting to revive him, but her malfunctioning causes her to disappear. The scavengers draw near, forcibly attempting to open the door, but Kay awakens just in time to fend off an impending attack. Disabling some of his assailants, Kay retrieves his gun, only to notice a vast armed contingent approaching. In a pivotal moment, a mysterious force begins targeting the group from above, saving Kay from potential combat. This entity is revealed to be Love, who remotely controls a drone. She wants Kay to keep going and find the child for her. Eventually, Kay finds the orphanage, and the kids eagerly welcome him. Kay talks to Mr. Cotton to ask for the records of the kids that arrived 30 years ago. At first, Cotton refuses, but Kay hits him to make him collaborate. Eventually, Cotton takes him to his office, and on their way there, Kay can't help but notice that this place looks a lot like the orphanage from his memory. When Cotton finds the records, he discovers that someone has removed the pages from the year they need. Cotton leaves the office, and Kay notices that the ashtray resembles a horse, which inspires him to explore further. He stumbles upon the furnace from his memory, and when he looks inside, he discovers that his wooden horse is still there. This revelation causes him to have a breakdown because if the memories are real, he may be human after all. When Kay returns home, Joy is delighted to hear the story and begins calling him Joe, claiming to have always known he's special. Kay wants to ensure that the theory of him being the miracle baby is real. Joe advises him to contact the person in charge of creating the replicant's memories. The next day, Kay visits Dr. Anna, who explains how she makes the memories she sells to Wallace for his replicant. She confirms that it's illegal to copy real memories for replicants, and that everything she creates is from scratch. She agrees to use her machines to examine Kay's childhood memory, and tearfully informs him that they're genuine. Kay has an emotional outburst before leaving the building, where he's suddenly arrested by his own co-workers. Moments later, Kay undergoes the baseline examination, but his emotional state causes him to fail. A furious Joshi brings Kay to her office to scold him for wasting his time. However, Kay immediately tells her that he traveled far because he found the child, who was being exploited as a regular worker, and he has already retired him. Joshi is relieved to hear this, and gives Kay 48 hours to collect himself before retaking the test. However, she confiscates his badge and gun. Later, Kay returns home and discovers that Joy has hired Mariette for the night. Since Joy can't physically touch anything, she uses her hologram to overlap with Mariette, allowing Kay to technically get intimate with her. The following morning, Mariette covertly plants a tracker in Kay's jacket. She manages to locate the horse, but Joy insists they leave before Mariette can retrieve it. Joy, aware that the police will soon target him, prepares to flee the city. Joy requests to accompany him inside the Emanator and advises Kay to delete her copy from his computer, thus cutting any potential leverage the police might have against him. Initially hesitant due to the risk of losing Joy permanently, if something were to happen to the Emanator, Kay eventually concedes and wipes out his home system while sabotaging the Emanator's antenna. At the Wallace Corporation, Love incautiously notices the damage and promptly makes her way to Kay's apartment, discovering the broken antenna. She subsequently pays a visit to Joshi, inquiring about Kay's whereabouts in the closed case. Love reveals that Kay lied about terminating the born replicant, but Joshi refuses to provide further details, resulting in Love assassinating her. Using the police computer, Love locates Kay's position. Meanwhile, Kay encounters a man at a pawn shop who can analyze the horse's origins. The analysis indicates alarming levels of radiation reminiscent of Las Vegas. Arriving at the ruins of the abandoned city, Kay's drone detects a thermal signature in the vicinity. Intrigued, Kay investigates and stumbles upon a collection of dirty statues surrounding a beehive, prompting him to venture into the closest neglected building, which transpires to be a casino. After exploring the premises, Kay ascends to the upper level and is startled by the presence of a dog. Distracted, Kay is caught off guard as Rick surprises him from behind with a firearm. Rick instantly recognizes Kay as a Blade Runner and remains skeptical of his purported intention to merely seek answers. In a split-second decision, Kay evades Rick's shot by leaping to the ground floor. Rick embarks on a pursuit to find Kay and initiates a holographic spectacle within the casino to divert attention. Seizing the opportunity, Kay overpowers Rick, reiterating his peaceful intentions once more. Convinced of Kay's sincerity, Rick leads him to the bar for a drink, where Kay astutely surmises that Rick and Rachel conceived a child together. Rick affirms this revelation. He explains that he never had the chance to meet his own baby because of a plan implemented by Rick. Rick taught Sapper and the members of the Replicant Freedom Movement how to scramble records and cover their tracks. In order to protect his family from trouble with the police, Rick left Rachel with them and vanished. The memories upset Rick, causing him to leave the bar, while Kay continues to explore his surroundings and stumbles upon a collection of wooden animals. After taking a rest, Kay allows Joy to manifest herself for a while, triggering a reaction in a machine. Worried about the situation, Kay swiftly turns Joy off before Rick becomes aware of what is happening. They use binoculars to observe a fleet of cars approaching their location. In an attempt to escape, the two rush to obtain Rick's car, but the room explodes just as they reach it. Love and her men appear to abduct Rick, and despite his futile efforts to defend himself, he failed. KK tries to fight back as well but is effortlessly overpowered by Love, accidentally activating Joy in the process. The hologram pleads for mercy, but Love destroys the device emitting her projection and departs with her men, believing Kay to be dead. Later in the evening, Kay is rescued by a mysterious group who successfully remove the tracker. When he awakens, he finds himself in the company of the Replicant Freedom Movement, which includes Mariette. She assures him of their trustworthiness and introduces him to their leader Freysa, who possesses a photograph of Rachel and the baby. Freysa reveals that she aided Rachel during the birth and assisted in concealing the baby. Sapper willingly allowed Kay to kill him, as he was also a member of their group and had sworn to keep their actions secret. Freysa discloses that the baby was a girl who grew up to become Dr. Anna. They dressed her in blue during her hidden years to create ambiguity. Devastated by the revelation that he is not the miracle baby, Kay comes to the realization that when Rick taught the group to scramble records, he unintentionally obtained some of the baby's data, including her memories, resulting in the false DNA match he discovered in the. Freysa understands that Anna's existence demonstrates that replicants are more than mere slaves and expresses her desire for a revolution to liberate her people, urging Kay to join them. Given that Wallace has now located Rick, it becomes Kay's duty to kill him before Wallace employs him to find their group. Meanwhile, Rick regains consciousness in a room where Wallace unveils Rachel's skull and the recording of her interview with Rick. Wallace attempts to suggest that Rachel's attachment to Rick was simply a result of programming from her creator, as a means to test Rick's ability to create a child with her. However, Rick vehemently denies this claim. In an effort to obtain information about the child, Wallace introduces Rick to a replica of Rachel that he has created. While Rick is moved by the sight of his beloved, he is not fooled by the replica due to the incorrect eye color. Frustrated, Wallace has his enforcer Love kill the replica of Rachel as a way to remind Rick of the power he holds over him. Meanwhile, Kay is wandering the streets when he comes across an advertisement for the Joy AI, which engages with him and ultimately convinces him to make a purchase. However, Kay is haunted by the loss of lives and decides to seek revenge for his own Joy. Spotting Love's vehicle transporting Rick to Wallace's secret facility, where his torment machines are kept, Kay follows in a car he finds. He shoots at Love's car, causing it to crash into a dam. Kay approaches the wreckage and opens fire, but in the exchange of gunfire, both Kay and Love are hit by bullets. The dam begins to flood the car as Kay and Love engage in a physical fight. Love reveals a concealed knife and stabs Kay, believing she has emerged victorious. As she kisses Kay and leaves him to die, she is unexpectedly attacked by Kay, who had used the water to approach undetected. After a struggle, Kay manages to kill Love and frees Rick from his restraints. The two men swim to Kay's car and witness Love's vehicle sinking. Kay points out that now everyone will think Rick is dead, allowing him to reunite with his daughter. Rick and Kay make their way to Anna's labs, with Kay giving Rick the horse. While Rick enters the building and finally comes face to face with his daughter, Kay sits on the steps, watching the snowfall, and contemplates whether he will survive his stab wound.